Hey everybody, what's going on? So I'm going to walk you guys through the about $50,000 that I invested over the past 90 days or so, um, dating back to about mid-March of 2019. And of course, on the left-hand side, I'm going to show you each transaction. What's not included in there is my Cardone Capital investment, so I'll go to the website for that one. And also what's not included in there are my 401k contributions. What's on the left is strictly my individual brokerage account, my IRA, and 529 accounts. I'm not going to count the 529 accounts because those aren't for me. They're for nephews and nieces. So just leave those be, and I'll skip over those. But what I'm going to try to do is go over what's the individual transactions on the left, and then kind of block them out on the right so we can kind of keep track of them together. So about middle of March, end of March time frame, I bought 2 shares of the S&P. This was actually a mistake. I wanted to buy it in my YouTube Moolah account, but I accidentally bought it in my individual brokerage account instead, and you'll see that I ended up selling one of them, but ended up buying it twice because I wanted it in one account and ended up holding it just because. So mid-April, ended up buying a couple shares of Main Street Capital Corp in my individual brokerage account. That was about $1,800 worth or so. And also been trying to get back into Realty Income Corp whenever the price dips at a pretty decent bit. So I bought about 10 or 11 shares of that. Also bought a covered call, or not a covered call, a naked call, which I'm not really going to talk about in this particular video here. And then bought some more Main Street Capital in my Roth IRA with some of the cash that's been sitting in my Roth. And that was a pretty big investment. It was, I think it was about 150 shares to be exact. Bought 500 shares of BP Midstream Partners. And that was just because the price had dipped pretty good. And I believe that the assets that BP and Shell are producing out of, in terms of the pipelines that they have, are both very good investments. So if you're looking for a pipeline company, in my YouTube Moolah account when one of the additional YouTube payments came through about the middle of May time frame. And both of those investments were about $2,500 or so for the BlackRock. I think it was good for 5 or 6 shares, and then 1 or 2, or it was 2 shares for the IJR small cap there. Bought about 21 shares of 3M Corp at the very end of May here. And then I also bought, I sold the S&P 500 that I accidentally bought in at the end of March time frame, and with that I bought some Johnson & Johnson. So I think I bought 54 shares of Johnson & Johnson, and I really wanted to buy those because, one, I really like Johnson & Johnson. They always are, generally speaking, very good about increasing the dividend, and also 3M has down from a price of about $200 or $250. So pretty good entry point. I think I bought it like $159 or something for 3M. So very good price point for that. And then I most recently bought Bryn Mawr Bank Corp. 2 transactions here. It's actually one. It's just that they got invested over 2 separate time periods. Believe it's about 54 or 56 shares. I don't remember exactly, but a good initial starting position in Bryn Mawr Bank Trust, and so that's that. Going back to the actual 401k investments themselves, so I got a bonus in March time frame. It's when, generally speaking, I get my bonus time. I forgot to turn off my 401k, so my contribution ended up being a little bit higher than normal. So I ended up putting about $3,500 or so in my 401k because of that. Normal contributions are around $800 every or twice a month, so we get paid mid and the last day of every month. You'll see that it goes back to normal in mid-April, about $800 or so contributed, and then same thing with the end of April as well. Got my normal contribution. Mid-May, got my normal contribution of about $800, and then same thing with end of May, and I'm about to, within the next couple days, get my mid-June as well. On May 8th, I made my investment in Cardone Capital, so I'll scroll over to this and expand. And so this was a $15,000 offer to buy Cardone Equity Fund number 5, which is the non-accredited version of Cardone Capital. Currently it's awaiting signature. I think it's because folks have been in and out of the office over there as Grant goes on his world tour, Southeast Asia and Europe and whatnot, looking at different places to invest. So while this is just kind of sitting here, it happened on May 8th for my initial investment, so it's just been over a little bit over a month, which I'm not too upset about. I anticipate that there's a few people ahead of me to get things signed off on, and of course I know there's probably a lot of paperwork on their end that they have to deal with as well. I had to upload a decent amount of information. So you probably won't be able to see it, but underneath this closing documents, there's quite a bit of material that I have to upload, and I'm going to blank it out because, it's got personal information on here. But overall, that being said, it was around $50,000 worth of investments, about 18 different investments throughout the past 90 days for an average around $2,700 for each investment. A little bit more than normal that I invest because obviously, like I mentioned, I got my bonus in mid-March, and so prior to my bonus, I was also starting to accumulate a little bit of cash just because I wasn't necessarily sure where I wanted to invest it. And then I saw some opportunities throughout the course of April, March, and May to deploy that cash. So it's a little bit abnormal in terms of how much I normally invest. But you can see we got some pretty big ones. Obviously, the Cardone Capital is the largest, but my BPMP is pretty large. I'm pretty satisfied with my BlackRock, 3M, and Johnson & Johnson investments, and also some Main Street Capital. I bought over $7,500 worth of Main Street Capital over the past 90 days. So considering it's about a 7 to 8% dividend yielder, very much so looking forward to the dividends that are going to be coming off of this in the near future. So really interesting turn of events. I was just thinking about how much, and I was curious how much I'd invested over the past couple months. And I was just going to do what I'm investing in May, but I figured you guys would probably be more curious over the past 3 or 4 months, and there's a lot more activity over the past 3 or 4 months. What I might do is kind of go more into the financials of the stocks that I have purchased over the past past 90 days or so. So that way you can kind of understand where I'm coming from when I purchase these. It might match your investment style or not, so you can make your own investment decision and due diligence. So hope this video finds you guys great and finds you guys well. Very curious to hear what your comments are. Did I make any wrong decisions? Is 50 grand too much? Do you think I'm an idiot investing at all-time highs? Things along those lines. I'd love to hear it in the comment section down below. Of course, any suggestions for other videos, and overall just motivation towards myself or others, more than happy to hear it. So I'll talk to you guys next time. Have a great week.